Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Grow Food SA. Today we're going to talk about removing Bermuda grass. There's a couple ways to do it. A lot of the practices that we do out here are usually no-till, and if you wanted to stick to no-till methods, there's various ways of like smothering grass by blocking out its sunlight. So you can use cardboard, plastic. I've seen people use carpet and things like that, lay it out over one of the seasons, one of the dormant seasons. You could either do it over the winter or over the summer whenever you don't have a lot of the plants growing. But it's a good time to try to start smothering it. It needs a couple of months, and you really want to choke out a lot of the resources for it, like light or water that can come to it, and that can really help weaken some of it. And then what we're doing here is we're doing a tilling method. I'd only advise to till to remove grass maybe once every 3 to 5 years or something like that, because you really don't want to damage the soil that much with tilling. But it is important to try to remove some of that grass, because you can't really grow that well if you got competition of grass that's taking some of the water away from some of the plants, taking up some of the space in the ground and other nutrients. So really, grass can be sometimes pretty pesky, but we do have to admit it's a pretty effective plant at what it does. So today we're going to talk about different ways that we can remove Bermuda grass mainly. As you can see, we're kind of going through and removing a lot of the grass that has been growing in over here for the past couple of years. So we have a lot of Bermuda grass that we're dealing with here, and that's kind of like a common, really strong, deep-rooted grass for this area. And one of the ways that we're working on it this time is we're kind of trying to smother it. So as you can see, we're putting some cardboard over this, and it's generally knocked down most of the grass. So some of this almost turns into like a hay that can be reworked into the soil. But you just want to make sure that whenever you're removing it, you're removing a lot of the active roots of it. So any part of this right here can kind of regrow. So you want to make sure that as we're pulling, you're making sure that you're getting that main root stock that's down there at the bottom. That little bundle right there will regrow. So out here we're kind of tilling the areas and working on the beds, completely annihilating and mixing all this stuff together, because you have to get down pretty deep sometimes to chase some of these roots. We'll work on getting them back up, mixed in with some other composted material, and rework it in. But whenever we do things like this, we're actually really kind of exposing all of the microbes and all of the living structures that were in here to the sun, and that's gonna really damage and kind of kill off a lot of the living parts of this soil. So whenever we do something as traumatic as this, we want to make sure that we come back in with some compost tea or different ways that we can add nutrients back in the soil, add microbes, and reintroduce the fungi back in. You can buy like different soils that have mycorrhizal activity in it, and that'll kind of help bring in some fungi. Mulch and leaves can help kind of restore some of that. But my favorite thing is working with compost teas. So you kind of make a brew made out of compost, and you brew that for about a day, and it increases the amount of microbes that are in there, and then you can apply that liquid into the soil, and that kind of helps rebuild some of the living parts of that soil. All of those fungi and microbes, as we were talking about, really help, along with some of the other decomposers, worms and things like that. All the living structures really help hold the soil together too. So it's really vulnerable right now in these stages with high winds of blowing and losing top layers of your soil and things like that. So we want to make sure that we're really rebuilding the microbial activity and the fungal activity after such a damaging thing like this, you know. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. You can try to burn your grass if you need to get rid of it, send it off to the city dump or the city processing plant if you have one, and see how that goes. But we've had pretty good luck this time trying to smother it over the winter, and then working on plowing through with a pickaxe and a little shovel to remove some of these roots that have been really kind of accumulating over the past couple of years. So we really just needed to get back and knock it on back. But you'll still see how resilient it is. Here we got some already kind of growing back, and at this stage you want to just try to stay on top of it. These will tell you where it's at, where you kind of left it behind, and you can try to remove those. And you'd want to get down and chase it down so you can see that root still goes there. We want to chase that all the way down to that bottom. So here's a little network here. All of this has to go, and we're gonna have to dig down pretty deep to make sure that we can remove it. Now you like to use this pickaxe. Get below the root system there. And that right there is what you want to go after. And whenever you get it, you got to make sure you get all pieces of it, because nodules, these little nodules right there, will continue to grow. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like the channel. Send in suggestions, comments if there's anything else that you want to see. You got anything to add? Yeah. We'll try to be posting some more videos throughout the time that we're working in the garden, and mainly I hope the goal of a lot of this stuff is to kind of help inspire people, feel confident enough to kind of jump in and start gardening. Really the best way to learn is kind of just to start and experimenting out on your own and seeing what works best in your area, what plants you work best with. You know, there's a lot of variables out there, and you really don't know until you kind of start trying. So best of luck, and I hope you're inspired. Bye.